Good morning, gentle germs. Welcome to the one live stream that's as ghetto as the neighborhood that it comes from. Welcome to the Morning Brew. A lot of been, let me see who I am saying good morning to this morning. Let me scroll up. We have a Wolf Girl who was the first one in this morning. A Sir Wolfie, a Neil the Mad Panda, who is always stomping his foot because he feels he has to wait every time. Acer, good morning. Mitch the Ripper, how you doing? And we keep scrolling down here. We got a Callie in the chat. We have a Scotch. Good morning, Scotch. You're watching Rocky 4. Oh, well. Nobody's perfect. All right. So let's see what has been going on. Let me see. Google's been spurging out. We're going to be talking about that today. We're going to be talking about an actual video pre-recorded that I'm going to be doing and hoping to have out by the end of the week. Let me see. What else do we have on the agenda this morning? Oh, yeah, a lot of crap. We're also going to start with an NPR broadcast because apparently Netanyahu is under a microscope. Something about corruption. Check that out, shall we? Let's make sure it's turned up all the way so you guys can hear it. Yep. All right, here we go.
For months now, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has been at the center of a corruption investigation. And now there's a big development. Netanyahu's former chief of staff has struck a deal with authorities to become a witness for the state. All this, of course, is the raising questions about Netanyahu's political future. And there's Daniel Estrin is on the line now from Jerusalem. Hey, Daniel. Hey, Rachel. What is Netanyahu suspected of doing?
Well, police say they're investigating possible fraud, breach of trust, and bribery. And we're talking about two main corruption investigations involving Netanyahu. What I can tell you about them comes from Israeli media reports. So case number one reportedly involves suspicions that Netanyahu got expensive gifts like champagne, pink champagne, cigars from an Israeli Hollywood producer, one of the producers of Pretty Woman. And police are also, they're looking at whether those gifts amount to bribery, because there are reports that Netanyahu asked then Secretary of State John Kerry to help get the Israeli producer a long-term U.S. visa. So then there's another case involving a secret deal, allegedly, where Netanyahu tried to get positive press coverage for himself in a major Israeli newspaper by offering to help undercut the newspaper's competitor. And that is where Netanyahu's former chief of staff plays a major role.
Okay, tell us about this guy.
Yeah, his name is Ari Haro, and I want to play you a short clip of a recent Israeli television news story about him, just to give you a little flavor of how he's being portrayed here with some ominous music. He's kind of like this mystery man here. He stayed in the shadows, but he was a very close confidant of Netanyahu. I spoke to this political commentator who said Ari Haro was like a son to Netanyahu. He reportedly got in trouble for running his own consulting company while working for Netanyahu, and while police were investigating that, they reportedly found some iPhone recordings Haro made of Netanyahu's conversations with that newspaper publisher I was speaking about earlier. So what we do know is that authorities have made a pact now with Ari Haro. He will plead guilty and get a reduced sentence for the separate case involving reportedly his consulting company. And then in exchange, he'll provide testimony in the Netanyahu corruption cases.
Wow. So, former chief of staff turning against his old boss. So, what does all this mean for Netanyahu, his political future?
Yeah, that's the big question people are asking here. Netanyahu, he's the longest serving prime minister here since Israel's founding father. And if you go to Netanyahu's Facebook page, he says he's done nothing wrong. He's staying in his seat. He's portrayed this as something that's not about him personally, but a left-wing media attempt to topple his right-wing government. The question here is, if Netanyahu is charged with a crime, would he have to step down? And the answer is technically no, although the previous prime minister here stepped down when he faced his own corruption investigations. So Netanyahu would likely face that kind of pressure. And the timeline here, Rachel, probably if Netanyahu does get charged, it would take months and maybe more than a year.
Right. And here's Daniel Estrin reporting from Jerusalem. Thanks so much, Daniel.
You're welcome.
All right, so that's the latest out of Israel with Netanyahu. And yes, I know you see my pop filter. There are a lot of people that do live streams to where you can see their pop filters like this. I'm working with different configurations to see which one sounds best and which one keeps the mic out of the way. Yeah, the first Rambo was the best. The third Rambo was better for jokes, really, because he actually does crack a couple of jokes. Okay, quick news. North Korea won't budge on sanctions. Big surprise there, right? Though it seems promising, North Korea has had a history and help avoiding sanctions. This time around may not be different. As discussed yesterday, sanctions will cut approximately $1 billion in annual exports, which would cut the exports by 1/3. This is in hopes North Korea will scrap its plans to continue their nuclear program. Whether or not the sanctions are successful weighs heavily on China, North Korea's ally and main trading partner. China does not agree with Pyongyang's nuclear weapons program, but also does not look too keenly on collapsing North Korea, which will lead to a unified U.S.-Korea at its doorstep. China has also been known to help North Korea to circumvent sanctions in the past. So we're going to be keeping an eye on that. No, they won't. And unfortunately, cause a problem if they do find out that China is once again helping North Korea circumvent the sanctions that are supposed to be put there in order to keep them from, practicing or continuing their test fires and continuing their nuclear program. Good morning, Mariel. How are you doing this morning? All right, let's see here. Next one is the hot button topic. Now, all these stories are more or less out of the AP, except this one's got a couple of things added to it. I take the quotes and I actually found the 10-page memo, which I have linked to this. I'm going to turn it into a PDF and put it on the website. So anybody that's interested in looking at the 10-page memo can actually go through it. Good morning, Otimus. Good morning, Rhetorical Entertainment. How are you guys doing this morning? Google CEO fires author of memo and slams the 10-page Screed. Out of New York, AP, a memo written by a male engineer at Google about gender differences sparked a quick rebuttal from Google after it circulated widely online. Google CEO Sundar Pichai announced the memo in an email on Monday for advancing harmful gender stereotypes and said he was cutting short a vacation to hold a town hall with staff on Thursday. The engineer, James Damore, was fired, according to Bloomberg, which cited an email from him. An email sent to an address believed to be used by Damore was not immediately returned. Google declined to comment. Their declining to comment does not surprise me in the least. The engineer's widely shared memo titled Google's Ideological Echo Chamber criticized Google for pushing mentoring and diversity programs and for alienating conservatives. Google's just hired head of diversity, Danielle Brown, responded earlier with her own memo, saying that Google is unequivocal in our belief that diversity and inclusion are critical to our success. She said, change is hard and often uncomfortable. Yeah, she did say that. Battling messages come as Silicon Valley grapples with accusations of sexism and discrimination. Google is also in the midst of a Department of Labor investigation into whether it pays women less than men, while Uber CEO recently lost his job amid accusations of widespread sexual harassment and discrimination. Neil, I find it funny they're trying to call it an anti-diversity memo when it pushes for actual intellectual diversity over token diversity. Yeah, but you know, they have a different, the Morning Tale, they have a different definition of diversity. They like people, people from all walks of life, all races and stuff. It doesn't matter if you can do the job as long as you fit a quota. They want to fit a quota. You can't run a business on quotas. It doesn't work. I mean, you can have every race represented, but if they don't know what they're doing, that business is going to tank. Lead tech companies, including Google, Facebook, and Uber, have said they are trying to improve hiring and working conditions for women, but diversity numbers are barely changing. The Google employee memo, which gained attention online over the weekend, begins by saying that only honest discussion will address a lack of equity, but also asserts that women prefer jobs in social and artistic areas, while more men may like coding because it requires systemizing. Now, this is one thing that a lot of people know about me. Here's the context. This is the personality difference as part of the memo, and I'm going to read this, and I put it in red to highlight the fact that they like to quote, mind quote and pick things out and cherry pick, so I'm going to read this whole thing. Personality differences. On women, on average, he's talking about averages, have more openness directed toward feelings and aesthetics rather than ideas. Women generally also have a stronger interest in people rather than things relative to men, also interpreted as empathizing versus systemizing. These two differences in part explain why women relatively prefer jobs in social or artistic areas. More men may like coding because it requires systemizing, and even within SWEs, if somebody in the chat can tell me what SWE is short for, I would absolutely appreciate it. Good morning, Jason. Comparatively, more women work on front end, which deals with both people and aesthetics. Extroversion expressed as gregariousness rather than assertiveness, also higher agreeableness. This leads to women generally having a harder time negotiating salary, asking for raises, speaking up, and leading. No, these are just average differences, and there's overlap between men and women, but this is seen solely as a woman's issue. This leads to exclusory programs and stretch and swaths of men without support. Neil, I am a programmer. This is consistent with experience. Yeah, I mean, not all women are cut out for the tech field. I mean, I was able to build my own website from scratch a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, and I know if I put my nose to the grindstone again and had the computer to help me do it, I could probably build my own website one more time. However, you talk any kind of hardware, and I'm lost, my eyes cross, and I start hearing the teacher from Peanuts. Society of Women Engineers. Okay, thank you, Wolf Girl. See, in my particular class, every woman dropped out and transferred to other tracks that were more social or design-oriented. Yeah, we're more detail-oriented. We're more visual, we're more empathetic. We'll, you give us a room and we'll decorate the motherfucker. You put us in front of a computer to engineer it and, most of the time. Now, there are women out there that can hack it, but, The memo, which was shared on tech blog Gizmodo, attributes biological differences between men and women to the reason why we don't have 50% representation of women in tech and leadership. Differences in distributions of traits between men and women may in part explain why we don't have 50% representation of women in tech and leadership. Discrimination to reach equal representation is unfair, divisive, and bad for business, which it is. While engineers' views were broadly and publicly criticized online, they echo the 2005 statements by then Harvard President Lawrence Summers, who said the reason there are fewer female scientists at top universities is in part due to innate gender differences. Brandy Stelling, Senior Vice President of Advisory Services for Catalyst, a nonprofit advocacy group for women in the workplace, said engineers' viewpoints show how ingrained, entrenched, and harmful gender-based stereotypes truly are. Translation: I'm going to ignore years and years of research on the dimorphism and the actual biological, physical, and neurological differences between men and women and say he's full of bullshit, sexist, and misogynist. It's basically what she said. I just decided to extrapolate on that. So let's see. Tech companies say they are trying by reaching out to and interviewing a broader range of job candidates, by offering coding classes, internships, and mentorship programs, and by holding mandatory unconscious bias training sessions for existing employees. Oh, good Lord. Unconscious bias training. I have so many problems with that phrase at the moment. So many problems with that damn phrase. All right. Washington faces budget deadlines. We all knew this was coming. Sooner or later, they're going to have to knock their heads together and put a budget together. The Trump administration and Congress face a daunting set of budget-related deadlines in the coming weeks. We're just going to highlight some of the problems. Yeah, being reprogrammed. Good morning, Eric, and welcome. No, thank you. I have a husband. Good morning, No Name. How are you? We're just going to highlight some points. Debt dilemma. The problem. The most important piece of business is the need to increase the United States $19.9 trillion debt limit to permit the government to continue borrowing money to pay its bills, including Social Security and interest payments. The government hit its borrowing cap in March, but Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin has been using a well-worn set of accounting moves to free up cash. Nevertheless, Mnuchin says the debt ceiling needs to be raised by September 29th to avert the risk of a first-ever United States default. What's next? Since Republicans control both Congress and the White House, it's their responsibility to ensure that the government doesn't default. In the past, that would have meant the Republicans would have to put up virtually all of the votes. During Democratic President Barack Obama's recent tenure, congressional Republicans surrendered to Obama's demand for debt measures that was clean, no GOP provisions, provided Democrats produce almost all of the votes. Neil, because they're really avoiding a default to take out a loan to pay for a loan. I know, right? We're robbing Peter to pay Paul, which is absolutely ridiculous. And most of this debt was incurred. It started with Baby Bush, and that's how I distinguish the two Bushes in office. And it got worse with Obama because of Obamacare and the fact that, I mean, and you can correct me here, chat, but I think in the entire 8 years they were supposed to make a budget under the Obama administration. A budget wasn't made. They just kept putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. I mean, sooner or later, you got to get down to it and make a damn budget. This is the problem when you spend without a budget. Spending showdown. The government's fiscal year ends September 30th, and legislation needs to be enacted to prevent a partial shutdown of federal agencies. At issue are the 12 annual spending bills funding agency operations. There's no agreement on what the overall spending level should be. Republican defense hawks want to lift a cap on Pentagon spending, while Democrats are pressing for more money for domestic programs, welfare. Without a deal to increase spending, the annual appropriations bills are just sputtering along without a clear path. A wall along the U.S.-Mexican border, resolutely opposed by Democrats and some Republicans, is a major sticking point. Instead, taxpayers would pick up the first $1.6 billion for the installment in the wall. Because remember, we went through the transcripts that were leaked when Nieto said, I am not going to pay for the wall, period. I'm not paying for the wall. You can't make me. I'm not going to pay for the wall. So we still have that freaking problem, right? A stopgap spending measure known as a continuing resolution is sure to be needed to buy time to advance the unfinished spending bills. A government shutdown, perhaps sparked by a battle over the wall, could come as early as October or perhaps later. Excuse me. I got something stuck in the back of my throat this morning. Well, they went that long. I'm sorry if you guys got a little bit of ear rape there. My bronchitis is being a pain in the royal ass this morning. All right, let me see. While non-essential government programs would be shut down, the military, air traffic control, and federal law enforcement agencies would remain open. Benefits such as Social Security and Medicare would continue to be provided. The budget battle. Republicans have yet to pass a budget plan for the upcoming 2018 fiscal year. Under Washington's arcane ways, passing a non-binding budget plan is the only way to set in motion a special process for the GOP's top agenda item, rewriting the tax code. If Congress can pass a budget, Republicans controlling the Senate don't need to worry about a Democratic filibuster blocking any tax bill. A budget could also unlock a way for conservatives to win cuts to benefit programs over Democratic opposition. Thanks. Neither the Senate nor the House has passed a budget. House action has been held up by a battle between moderates and conservatives over whether to pair spending cuts with the filibuster-proof tax measure. An impasse could doom the tax reform effort. Other than that, the consequences would be modest. Congress often fails to pass a budget resolution. Politically, it would be another blow to Republicans who stumbled on health care. Oh, yeah, better than Teddy Ray. I'm sorry, but we need to put our heads together. We need to make a budget. And I don't mean a soft budget. I don't mean a viable budget. I don't mean a flexible budget. We need a budget in government, and we need that budget to be adhered to. We don't need any more continuations. We don't need to push this date back any further. They need to sit down, light a fire under their collective asses, and for once since this administration started, get something done in Congress. This country cannot continue to run without a set budget. It can't. We saw the ramifications, and we're dealing with the mess from the past 8 years in the Obama administration for them refusing to be able to make a budget, much less adhere to one. This country has more debt than our great-grandchildren will be able to pay off. Because, let's face it, the liberals spent more money than they had. And now they're scrambling to figure out how the hell to fix their oversight. The only problem is they think spending is the way to get out of their oversight when that is not correct. You can't spend your way out of a debt problem. Ugh. All right, South Africa's president faces crucial no-confidence vote. All this voting going on all over the world. I'm probably going to wind up doing a yes, no name. But like I said, if I am correct, during the 8 years while Obama was in office, we didn't have a budget. Rhetorical says, Obama borrowed more in his first 2 years than all previous presidents combined. Yes. But we can't overlook the fact that Baby Bush's war on terror put a really big dent in our deficit. Yes, I know. Doesn't matter. Both sides still spent. That's the problem. And the problem is there's no budget. They don't want to stick to a budget. They need to make a budget and stick to it. South Africa's parliament was voting Tuesday on a motion of no confidence in embattled President Jacob Zuma that could force him to resign after months of growing anger over alleged corruption. Zuma has survived 6 previous attempts to unseat him in parliament, but this is the first to be held by secret ballot after parliamentary speaker Baleka Mbidi Monday made the surprise decision to allow it. Opposition parties hope it will encourage disgruntled legislators with the ruling African National Congress Party to vote against Zuma, who has faced numerous allegations of graft while South Africa's economy has fallen into recession. Widespread frustration over Zuma has hurt the ANC, the former liberation movement that has led Africa since the end of white minority rule and the first all-race elections in 1994. Can't contain it. Good morning, Penina. Those MPs must recall that they are the representatives of people and must therefore represent the people in terms of what they do this afternoon, Mbeki told reporters. The ANC holds a majority of the 400 parliament seats, and the party has repeatedly said its members will not support the opposition-led attempt to unseat the president. The party has 249 parliamentary seats, 5 of which are currently vacant, said party spokeswoman Nonsiba Malawi. Whoa, if I pronounced that right. No confidence motion needs 201 votes to succeed. If the motion succeeds, Zuma and his cabinet must resign immediately, and Mbeki will take over as acting president, according to Pierre de Vos, a constitutional expert and law professor at the University of Cape Town. The rest of the administration will continue its work for an interim period of up to 30 days until the country's chief justice holds a parliament session to elect a new president. The reputation of Zuma, who spent a decade in prison for his anti-apartheid activities, has been popular among some South Africans for his personal warmth and populist policies, and has been tarnished by allegations of impropriety. Last year, the Constitutional Court ruled unanimously that Zuma failed to uphold the Constitution by not paying back some of the $20 million plus in state money used to upgrade his rural home. Zuma's ties to the Gupta family, immigrant businessmen accused of trying to manipulate government leaders and state companies for financial gain, also have stirred public anger. While Zuma's term continues until elections in 2019, there have been calls from within the ANC for him to quit earlier and allow the party to shore up support before the vote. The ruling party is expected to replace Zuma as the ANC president at a meeting in December. So I'm going to keep an eye on that and see what happens. And there are other votes going on in other parts of the world too, and I'm probably going to wind up doing a kind of like a combination article and post it on the blog to address all those particular issues, because there are a lot of votes and there's a lot of upheaval and there's a lot of uncertainty going on in governments all across the world. I mean, you've got Brexit, you've got South Africa, the shit that's still going on in Venezuela. A couple of other places are having problems as well with their voting. I mean, the whole world seems to be in unrest, and it always winds up around election times, depending on how it goes, if it is a democratic society. When I say democratic society, there are societies that say they are democratic, but they tend to rig the vote, which doesn't necessarily make it 100% democratic, if you get where I'm coming from. All right, today's shout-outs. The satellite of unrequited love. Let me see if this thing actually wants to behave. This morning. Maybe not. I want to load for me. From the satellite of unrequited love, we have our most favorite robot. He's Red. He is your host with the almost for Sunday Fun Day. He also does travels in Tumblr space, and he also has commentary on his channel. I am talking about the lovable Red Robot. Y'all go check out Red. He is absolutely hilarious, especially in his commentary and his travels in Tumblr space. And yes, travelers in Tumblr space spells tits, and he did that on purpose. That's one of the reasons we love him so much. All right, next one. He runs. He has guns. He accidentally shot himself, but we love him anyway. The forefront leader on the fight against hard progress, Run and Guns News. Second Amendment advocate, commentator, and pedophiles everywhere. 538 subscribers. Yeah, I know. My tongue did not want to cooperate with the word Tumblr. What can I say? I try. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Uh-oh, I think I got a cough again. Hold on. I'm going to make it through the show, damn it, one way or the other. So y'all go check out Run and Guns. Next one. I don't always look at skeptics and shitlords. I also look at other channels like Saberspark, animation, video essays, and reviews. He has a wonderful video essay, or a couple of them actually, on the Cartoon Network, on Disney, and things of that nature. They are very in-depth, very detailed, and they're very entertaining to watch and listen to as well. So y'all go over there and check out Saberspark. His channel is very, very good. And last but not least, he's British, he's snarky, he commentates, he responds, and he has wit to spare. I am talking about the Satiratician. Not many people can pronounce his name. I think I'm one of the few. But our boy Sat here is funny in his commentary and his responses to all things identity politics and other things as well. So go check out the Satiratician and let him know what you think. All right, so those are the shout outs. Today's hashtag, because it's hashtag Tuesday. Today's hashtag is hashtag bad excuses to avoid sex. Y'all get ready for the lulls. As soon as my page wants to load and let me scroll. Golly. All right, here we go. It's scrolling. Yay. Come on. Cooperate with me. We're almost done. Yay. All right. Your sexts have terrible grammar and spelling. To harvest my Farmville crop. Oh, God. I'm busy watching cartoons. I stubbed my camel toe, darling. Sorry, not tonight. It's past my curfew. My balls haven't been waxed in weeks. Boy, it's got to be one ugly girl for a guy to say that. I don't want to get permanently banned from this Burger King, too. What have you been doing? It's been so long that I forgot how. Your brother wore me out. Honey, your mom is bad at soccer. What the hell? Okay, how is that an excuse to avoid sex, dummy? Get with the program, Charles. Get with the program. My vagina just had its wisdom teeth removed. Okay, if your vagina has teeth, you have more problems than just not wanting to have sex. I'm really saving your life. My daddy would kill you if he knew you deflowered me. I'm all sexed out from a long day of sexing down at the sex factory. That was thought out. The celebrity I usually fantasize about during sex just died, and I haven't picked a new one yet. I know you're an easy girl, but you're not easy to look at. Ooh. My tranny needs an overhaul, and I think they mean transmission there. I'm half the man I used to be. Pilots and John Wayne Bobbitt. Oh, Lord. The theory of relativity, incest jokes. I walked into a bar. I'm a virgin. You didn't ask for a dirty Sanchez the right way. Oh. Oh. Nope. Did not want to. Jesus, sometimes I read these things before I read these things out loud before I read them normally. I should start reading them before I read them. Tonight's live streams, starting at 9-ish p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have on Liz and Zeph Streams, Cancer Stream Wednesday, where we play Quiplash with lewd, crude, and socially unacceptable humor. Also at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, join Penina on her channel as she plays The Joy of Creation. Will she make it out of the office tonight? How many people will she scare that are watching her? The only way to find out is to stay tuned. Oh, and how many times will she be scared? The only way to find that out is to watch, right? Right. So, there we have it. I am making some additions. Am I a day ahead? I'm a day ahead. Oh, crap. I'm a day ahead. Never mind. My brain's a day ahead. Everything else is a day behind. I'm going to have to change that in the description. Thank you. I don't know why the hell I thought today was Wednesday. That just means I got to work a little harder, I guess. My brain, some sometimes I should. This is one of those days. At least I said good morning, on Tuesday today instead of, saying happy Wednesday like I did a couple of weeks ago or last week or something. Yep, probably. Time traveling. I wish if I could time travel all the mistakes I would keep myself from doing. But then again, if you traveled back in time to keep yourself from making mistakes, would you make those mistakes anyway further on down the line in your timeline? Who knows? Our dear Penina is also in the chat. So if you guys could click on the wonderful little triple dots to the right of her name and go check out her channel. She is under 200 subs. She does some really good, she's really funny to watch play these things. So please go over there and visit her. I know, I'm sorry. I'm a day ahead on the Quiplash thing. I guess I can't wait to play that either. Of course, I am her new host on Wednesday nights. Yeah. So, yep, there we have it. So, let me see, what else am I going to... Oh, yes. I am going to make updates to the website because I have got to get in the habit of getting off of here, getting on my Discord, and then updating my website with the... Buenos dias, Lord of Cancer. You're a little late getting ready to wrap up the stream, but hey, happy belated birthday, my dear. I'm going to be updating starting today with the live stream and also the articles that I have read. Now, once again, the articles that I usually read are from AP or routers. Sometimes I do Gizmodo like I did with the YouTube thing last week. But most of the time it's AP or routers, or I try to do the quick news, which is authored by me. If I had more time in the day, in other words, if I wasn't, doing my freelance commissions, I would actually do research and write my own news articles. But I don't have that kind of time. Down below, oh yes, on my website. Yes, I did a Time Lord skip. On my website, I have the link to my Twitch channel. I am still setting that up. When I get my new computer, because I'm still looking into getting a new computer, I will start doing my morning brew on Twitch as well as my reading streams on Twitch. So please be alerted to that. My website is down below if you want to click and you want to subscribe to my Twitch. I don't have Streamlabs set up for that yet. All that stuff I'm going to need help with because sometimes I can be really tech stupid. So please look out for that and look forward to that because I would like to go to Twitch, seeing how YouTube is, doesn't like dissenting views. 1984, wrong think, all that shit. The video that I want to take out by the end of the week is going to have a trailer for an advertisement on my YouTube channel and is going to have the VidMe link so you can go to VidMe and watch the video. This is not an original idea. I got the idea from Mitch, but instead of a commercial, I'm going to do a trailer with a link in the description. So we have all that going on. All right. One more time to refresh everybody's memory. All right, cool, Jason. Tonight on Penina Chan's channel, The Joy of Creation, at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is a live stream Let's Play. So once again, may your coffee ever flow, may your caffeine be ever strong, and may you have a totally terrific Tuesday. Guys in Discord.